Hey guys, in this video I'm going to show you the 360 view of what it's like to hike from the south rim of the Grand Canyon on the South Kaibab Trail all the way to the north rim of the Grand Canyon, right over there on the North Kaibab Trail. Now, this video is 360, so what you can do is, as you're watching, you can drag around on the video and pan around as I'm hiking down the trail and showing you the trail, so you can explore in 360, which is pretty cool. Now, this is not a hike that you just show up and do. There's a lot of planning, there's a lot of training, there's some gear considerations involved, so make sure you go to the accompanying webpage on HikingGuy.com. I put a link to that right under the video, but that's going to help you out in terms of planning your rim-to-rim hike. Which way should you go? Where should you stay? All of those fun things will be on that webpage, which I keep up to date. Now, as I show you this video, if you find you like it, if you could do me a big favor and click the little thumbs up, it's a great way to say thank you, and it also helps other hikers find this video, hopefully be prepared for the hike the way you're going to be prepared by watching this, and have a good time and a safe time out there. All right, guys, let's hit the trail in 360. All right, so from the shuttle bus, we're just going to go up the paved path and make sure you're full with water. You can get some water right at the bus stop back there, but there's no water on the trail. And we're just going to go up the paved path until we get to the actual trailhead, which is right here. And the trail is down to the left. Off to the right, there's a little area for mules, but down to the left is the South Kaibab Trail. And this is the start of our rim-to-rim adventure to way over there. We will end the hike in roughly, I don't know, 9 to 12, 13 hours from now. And we're just going to keep on heading downhill here at the start of the trail. It's kind of a nice, gentle way to ease into it, but pretty soon we're going to start going down switchbacks, and you'll see the trail down there in front of you winding along the cliff. And here we go. If you look down to the right there, you can kind of get an idea of how steep these switchbacks are. And don't worry, the trail is always at least 4 feet wide. It is designed for mules, and mules can pass here. It's really safe once you get used to it. It might probably look worse on the video here, but it's not too bad. Then after the switchbacks, we kind of level out for a little bit, and you can cruise here. And you can kind of see that has the those little steps in the rock as we go down there, and you can see the switchbacks down below as we continue down here towards Point, which will be our first kind of landmark on the South Kaibab Trail. And here it is. This is a popular destination for day hikers. It's a great place to watch the sunrise. Somebody has fallen off here in recent years climbing around on the rocks, so please be careful. Stay on the trail overall if you want to be safe. Once you have your fill here, we're just going to continue on downhill, and the trail twists back this way. And you can kind of get an idea of the craftsmanship of the trail here as you go down. There's a few different surfaces, including this sort of cobblestone surface. There's not a lot of this on this trail. Other trails have that. But you're going to get some nice trails, some nice views as you see the trail wind down in front of you, and a nice view of the different layers here of the Grand Canyon. If you go to HikingGuy.com, I'll explain what those layers are. Now you're going to go down to one of the most beautiful parts of the South Kaibab, down towards O'Neill Butte down there. We're going to wind around a little bit, and then we're going to go over a ridge, kind of like a narrow spine of a ridge as we get close. And again, this looks worse than it really is. It's not quite so steep, but you can see the trail winds down to the right as we get great views of the butte. And we're going to be going down past that, down towards the right of it. But otherwise, we're going to keep on going down these switchbacks and enjoying the downhill. And pretty soon you're going to get to Cedar Ridge. And off to the left, there are a bunch of cedar trees. Off to the right, there is a toilet. No water, but a toilet. And the trail is actually just across this open area here. You're going to go across and then down to the right a little bit, and you can see the trail here. Sometimes it's hard to find this if you're off to the left where the trees are. I'm going to continue on down towards the Butte and Skeleton Point, which will be our next landmark on the South Kaibab Trail. This part's not as steep either. You can see there's a little level area here where some people take pictures by the Butte. Overall, really beautiful area, and most likely you'll be doing this around sunrise. The colors are spectacular here, as you can see. Now, from here to Skeleton Point, it's not so steep anymore. It is downhill, but there are some leveler sections, and it's not so rough on your knees. And at this point right here, we're almost totally flat. So if you're having a hard time on the descent, you're going to get a little break at this point. Now here's Skeleton Point. This is the first point where you can see the river. Now the trail is straight here, and we'll come back there. We'll just go straight down and do the trail. But if you do a 1-minute detour off to the left here, you just walk to the left until you get to this cliff. You'll be able to see the first glimpse of the Colorado River down below. There it is, nice and green. That's where we're going. Check out the river. There's where we came from, way up there. But otherwise, keep on heading down towards our next landmark, which is going to be the tip-off. You see some trail runners. Sometimes people do a rim to rim to rim in one day. A lot of trail runners will do that. But as we go down here, you're going to see the switchbacks kind of unfold nicely beneath you down towards the right, which is where we're going. That's all the South Kaibab Trail down there. Here you can see we're on the cliff. It looks, again, worse than it really is. You have plenty of room to hike here, even when you're passing somebody. And you can see it switchbacks down there below. And there's the tip-off in the distance there. That's our next stop. Now, the tip-off can be a little bit confusing when you get up here. The bathrooms are off to the right over there. But the actual trail, the South Kaibab Trail, stays on the left-hand side and goes straight downhill. There's also a smaller kind of unmarked intersection with the Tonto Trail. So if you see a trail coming in from the left or right, as you can see here, that's the Tonto. We're not going to take that. That's a pretty primitive trail. We're going to keep on going down the South Kaibab Trail. Now at this point, we're going to be getting pretty close to the river, and the views of the river are going to start getting better. And once you kind of come through the gap past the tip-off, you can see, look at the beautiful green Colorado River down there. And you can see the trail winding around down there towards it. I'm going to continue on downhill here, down towards the river. This is a nice cruisy downhill. It's not so steep. And it's beautiful. It's hard to explain in the video, but basically when you hike this, your head is kind of on a swivel just because everything is so stunningly beautiful that you want to see everything. It's really spectacular, including very cool rock formations like this as we go down through the different strata of the Grand Canyon. And you can see here it's downhill, but it's not too steep, so it's a little bit easier on your knees at this point as we go down. Eventually you're going to come down, you're going to get more glimpses of the river down there. It's going to be so close you can almost touch it. And we're almost there, probably 15 minutes at this point we'll be down at the river. There's a little use trail off to the left here. I recommend just staying on the main trail. It's not an official trail, so let's try to respect the rules. Stay on the main trail. Keep on heading down. And then when you get here, you're going to be able to see Black Bridge, which we're going to cross right there, the South Kaibab, and up in the distance, Silver Bridge, which goes to the Bright Angel Trail up the river a little bit, which we're not going to cross on this hike. But if you come back the other way and go up the Bright Angel, you will cross that bridge down there. And from at this point, it's just a little bit more. We're going to come to the junction with the little connector trail that goes over the Silver Bridge. But we're going to go right down to the Black Bridge, right down there. You can see it in the distance as we go down here. And just a little bit more. And then we're going to go through the tunnel. And this is a short tunnel. It's not too bad. Go through the tunnel, and then we're going to come out on the Black Bridge and cross the Colorado River. And these are some of the oldest stones down here. These are actually almost 2 billion years old, these stones down here. The Vishnu and I think Zoroaster layers of stone. We're going to cross the bridge. Really nice bridge. You can see Colorado's nice and green right now. You can see down at the bottom it's nice and clear. Sometimes it's brown, full of sediment. But Today it's clear. You'll probably see groups of rafters going through there. It's really nice. Don't go in there to swim. People have died doing that, so be careful there. And once you get off the bridge, you're going to go downriver a little bit. You're going to pass this little native pueblo. You can see Black Bridge up there. There's some interpretive displays. Here's some of the Vishnu rock layer, 2 billion or so years old. Really, really impressive down here. And as you continue, there's a little water refill. This is your first water since leaving the trailhead. There's also an emergency phone. And the next big junction, or important junction that we're going to get to, is this one right here. And off to the left is the Silver Bridge and the Bright Angel Trail. But instead, we're going to go right and go up Bright Angel Canyon. So Bright Angel Canyon, Phantom Ranch, much different than the Bright Angel Trail, which is back off to the left. Here's another water refill. But anyway, we're going to go straight up the canyon here. Now at the split, the official trail is off to the left. You can also go right. All the trails basically go to the same place. We're going up the canyon here. But if you go right, it's a little more shaded, and you get to go by the mule pens. But this is, there is private property here, so be respectful of all of the different houses. Just stay on the trail, and eventually you'll come back to the junction here where that other trail came in from the side, the official trail. And we're just going to keep on going straight. Now you can stay at Phantom Ranch, and I'll talk about that in the guide on HikingGuy.com. But most people who are not staying here just go to the Canteen, which is over here. You'll pass it, and you can get food. They have some limited supplies. You can mail postcards from here, which travel up via mule. There's a water refill. Some reason the lemonade got popular. I like the unsweetened iced tea, which is really good. And they have ice, which is also nice. But do your break at Phantom Ranch, and then come back to the trail and make the left and keep on heading up the canyon. It's going to be pretty much uphill from here on out, uphill or flat. At the end of Phantom Ranch are the toilets. This is the line for the toilets, so heads up there. But we're going to keep heading up the trail and leave the Phantom Ranch area. And this is a really scenic, kind of underrated part of the hike between Phantom Ranch and kind of like the main climb up the North Rim. You're going to be going up along the Bright Angel Creek, which is right down here. And the whole way, hopefully the Bright Angel Creek is flowing nicely, and you can hear the babbling brook. It's really a very beautiful area as you go up along these canyons, Bright Angel Canyon. At this point, there's a little side trail that cuts down to the South Kaibab. We're not going to take that. We're going to continue straight on up here. And Ribbon Falls is going to be our next kind of landmark on this. But between there, I think there's about a 5-mile stretch or so. We're going to be going through beautiful, beautiful canyons like this. Very scenic. The trail goes alongside the canyon, alongside the creek. And there's some sections of shade. It's really, really beautiful. There's also a series of bridges here that we're going to cross, probably half a dozen or so, as we go back and forth over the creek on our way up towards the main climb on the North Rim. This is a little section called the Box. It was marked by that first footbridge, and then the end is marked by this other footbridge. It's really not the narrowest canyon here. That's up a little bit, but it's beautiful. You can see just breathtaking scenery as we hike up through the Bright Angel Canyon. This is very typical what you're seeing right now. You can see we're hiking up alongside there. The stream is down to the left. And it's also, it's a little uphill. I'd say it's rolling, generally flat. You can make some pretty good time here if you're trying to book a little bit. Another bridge as we head on up. Beautiful, beautiful part of the hike. And you can see I think this is probably the narrowest part of the canyon here. We go up alongside the stream. Really, really beautiful. This is towards the end of the narrow part. After this, it's going to widen out a little bit, and we're going to start going uphill before we split off in a little while. Yet another bridge to cross, and we have one more on this kind of section down here. But again, you can just see we're surrounded by beautiful canyons here in the, I guess, the oldest part of rock on the hike down here. As you go up, you're going to get little glimpses in the distance of the North Rim. And then we're going to do this last bridge for a little while, across this wider area. And then from here on out, the canyon kind of widens out, and the slope starts going up a little bit. It's almost undetectable, but it does start to go up a little more than before. Now, this is the first turnoff for Ribbon Falls. There used to be a bridge here. They removed the bridge. You could hike to the falls. You just have to walk across the creek. It's a pretty cool area. You can actually go behind the falls, and you can see it from here too as you climb up. If you're doing this as a multi-day trip, visiting the falls is a good idea. If you're doing this in a day and you're trying to get done, maybe save it for another time, but you'll get some nice views of it here. If you do go there, do go behind it. It's always a kind of cool experience to go behind the waterfall. You'll notice here the hike started going up a little bit, and then there's a little bit of a downhill here. And you'll see the trail winding up in the distance there. We have this little downhill, and then we're going to come to the other sort of entrance to Ribbon Falls right here, which is off to the left. It's your last chance to hit the falls before heading up toward the North Rim. But instead, we're going to go straight up towards Cottonwood, towards the next campground up here. And this is beautiful. Again, it's a bucket list classic hike. Beautiful overall. Canyon walls, streams, Bright Angel Creek. There's a couple of creek crossings here, but nothing too crazy. Beautiful views of the surrounding rock walls as we start to inch up a little bit. And you can kind of tell it's getting a little bit steeper here. It's nice because it kind of gradually eases you into it as we go up. This is a neat section along the cliff wall here with the creek way down below there. And here we are at Cottonwood Campground. And this is a really neat campground. It's not too jammed together. The spaces are kind of far enough apart that you don't really hear people. And there are toilets here, and there is water here. As you go up, you're going to pass a trail board right here. There's a water refill. And the campsites are kind of scattered along the trail. As you go up here, you'll see little numbered slots for the different campsites. And go to HikingGuy.com. I'll talk about the camping options on there. Now from here, you're pretty much going uphill all the way. There's a little dip or two as we go, but it's definitely going to get steeper than it was before as we start climbing up towards the North Rim. And at this point, you've got maybe 15 or so miles in your legs. It's going to be tough for most people. So just take your time. It's not a race. More beautiful waterfalls. I mean, the scenery is what really keeps you going on this. If you told people you're going to hike 20 plus miles, on a knee-banging descent and a crippling uphill, they'd probably tell you not for me. But because the scenery is so beautiful, it's just makes it easy to do, or easier to do. Here we have one last bridge before we go up a little bit, and then here we are at Manzanita, which is a place where a lot of people sort of rest before you start going uphill. This is the beginning of the uphill. From here on out, it's steep till we get to the North Rim, but you can refill with water here. You can use the toilets. And it's a nice little place to take a break in the shade here and refuel before you start going back uphill. Here you can see there's a little trail board and some water fills, but take your time there and then start hiking up. You can see it's raining, and it does rain in the Grand Canyon. It does snow in the Grand Canyon. The North Rim is closed for about half of the year for snow, so nice to know before you start going here. And again, I'll talk about planning on the website, but if you go up there, you'll be able to see the head of Bright Angel Canyon up there, but we're going to kind of swing off and go into Roaring Springs Canyon, and there's Roaring Springs right there. That's the actual water source of all of the water in the Grand Canyon. So the water comes out of Roaring Springs, gets pumped up to the North Rim, and also down to the South Rim. So the water you've been drinking is coming from there. Now you can go down to the springs, but otherwise, if you want to stay on the rim to rim, just go straight through this junction and start climbing. And you'll start to see pines, ponderosa pines, and higher up there's more vegetation as we go. You can see it's indicative of the fact that we are getting higher up in elevation as we go here. Now this part of the hike up Roaring Springs Canyon is beautiful. It's a spectacular trail, it's spectacular scenery, and we kind of hug the cliff wall up on the left-hand side for a while as we travel back up through the different rock layers. You can see the trail winding around there. Beautiful, beautiful rock formations and eroded sections here that make it really, really spectacular. And if you have a problem with heights, this section might be challenging, but again, it's still all 4 feet. And in the article on HikingGuy.com, I'll talk about some strategies that you can use to conquer your fear of heights here. But just know that literally hundreds of thousands of people make it through here. Here you can see there's a section of the trail that's blasted through the cliffside, and you can see the trail coming up the canyon there from below. This is tough too. I mean, you're going uphill at a decent climb here, so take your time. This kind of shot kind of gives you an idea of how steep this is as we go up, and you see the rock formations. Really beautiful, beautiful area here. And you can also maybe notice that there's a little bit more vegetation. You can see the north rim up top there. That's where we're going to be going. And more of the hike here along the side of the cliff. If you're watching this in the 360 video, you can pan around and kind of look over the side if you're worried about what that looks like. And again, just relentless uphill. I mean, it's only, I think it's about 5 miles from Manzanita up here, but it's tough. Don't try to cook yourself. Just pace yourself and take your time and make it to the top. More cool rock formations as we go up, and then you're going to have a little bit of a downhill. And there's the Red Wall Bridge down there. It's going to be our last bridge that we cross, and we're going to do this little downhill, cross over the bridge, which is spectacular. Nice views down the canyon. Can't quite see Roaring Springs anymore, but you can see down to the Bright Angel Canyon way below there. And then up top there is where we are going at that top layer of limestone. Now from here on out, it's steep. It's steep, it's tough. You know, you've got a lot of miles in your legs at this point, so take your time. There's a lot of switchbacks as we go up. And you can see down there some of the switchbacks back down to the bridge as we hike up here. And our next destination is going to be the Supai Tunnel. You can see the switchbacks winding up there. You can just break it down one switchback at a time until you get to the Supai Tunnel. At this point, it's a short tunnel through the rock. And once we come through here, there's a little rest area. You can see some of the holes where they blasted the tunnel out. Pretty cool. Once you come through here, a little rest area. It doesn't matter which way you go here. I'll go to the same place. There's a toilet and water. You're going to want to make sure you check the park website before you plan your water refills out, because sometimes these are closed. We're going to go past and then keep on heading up, and you can see it's a lot more lush at this point, a lot more vegetation as we get closer to the north rim. And again, it's steep. There's some longer switchbacks, then we get some tighter switchbacks, but the top is within your grasp right there. That's where we're going. But you can see how steep it is in this shot as well. Almost there. And of course, when you get tired, you can just look back down. Way back down there is the Bright Angel Canyon that we came up from about 4 miles ago at this point. More switchbacks. There's the top right there, almost at the trailhead, but you can see switchback goes back to the left over here. And our next sort of destination is this Overlook, which is about a half a mile from the end. It's a popular day hike for people visiting the North Rim. Check out the Overlook. enjoy the views. Kind of one last time. From here, we're going to kind of twist back. We've got a couple more switchbacks in the open here, but we're going to kind of twist back into the trees, into the forest, for one or two long switchbacks, which will seem long, seem longer than they probably are for you at this point. And then eventually you get to the trailhead. This is the North Kaibab trailhead, and this is the entire hike. So by this point, you've done it. Sometimes there's a shuttle bus down to the lodges, but otherwise you have to walk to the lodge, which is about 1.7 miles. And I'll put all that information on the website. But that's it. That is South Rim to North Rim.